Good afternoon, gardeners. It's Sunday, January 24th, and it's a beautiful weekend here on the southeastern coast of North Carolina. And today I want to talk all about growing onions. Onions are something that almost every gardener should be growing in their garden because they are very easy to grow. They take up very little room. They have very few problems with pests. They're very cold tolerant, and they are the foundational food of almost everything that we cook in the kitchen. So it's very important as gardeners that we grow onions. However, when it comes to growing onions, there is a little bit of confusion because there are two ways to grow onions. The first way to grow onions is with onion sets. And what onion sets are they are little onion bulbs that are about 1 inch in diameter that have been pulled out of the ground and put into storage, so they are in a state of dormancy, and then they are sold to you as a little baby onion that you then plant into the ground as a bulb. If you've ever been in a big box store during late winter or early spring, you can usually find little onion set bulbs that are hanging over by the bare root strawberries and the seed potatoes. Onion sets are the most common way that most gardeners grow onions because it's very easy to do. The second way that you can plant onions is to grow them by seed, and that is what I have right here. These in these little 6-cell trays right here are onions that I started from the seed. Now, earlier in the year, I showed you how to plant onion sets in my garden, and everything that you see behind me are onion sets. I planted them in mid-fall. But what I want to discuss today is the difference between growing onions by seed and growing onions by onion sets, because I actually think that growing onions by seed is superior, even though it's a little bit more work. And here is why. Onions are biennials, so that means their life cycle is over the course of 2 seasons. The very first season, they grow from seed, they grow into the green onions that you see right here, and then they produce the bulb. The bulb is what we want to eat. The second season, what the onions will do is they will produce flowery seed tops and they will go to seed. So the second season is their seed season that they reproduce. When you grow onions by an onion set, it is a great way to get a jump start on the season because the seeds have already germinated and they've already formed into 1 inch little onions. And that's basically what onion sets are. They're onions that are grown from seed that people have dug up from the garden when they're just starting in the bulb phase. So if all the stars align, that will save you a lot of time because the onions are already starting to form, and that's a great way to get a jump start on the season. The problem with that is sometimes they don't work out for you. Because the onions have already started the bulb and they have been dug up and disrupted from their life cycle, sometimes this confuses them and it throws them off. And when you put them back into ground, they sometimes think that they are a second season onion. And if that is the case and they are confused and they think that they have already finished the bulbing stage, they will just send up flowery seed tops and go to seed on you, and you won't have any onion bulbs. You still will be able to harvest them for the greens, but you will lose out on the actual onion bulb, and that's really what we're growing them for. When you grow onions from seed, it does take a little bit more time because it takes about a month or 2 for the onions to get to this stage to where they're ready for transplant. You are far more likely to have success because these onions always know 100% of the time that they are first season onions, so they will bulb for you as long as you grow the right type of onions for your climate. So you will have success with these as long as they get enough water and fertilizer and you plant the right variety and it doesn't get so incredibly cold that they get killed back. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to grow these onions that I started from seed. But before I get into that, I want to explain to you that it's very important that you grow the correct type of onions for your climate. There are 3 types of onions. There are long day onions, there are intermediate day onions, and there are short day onions. And those names correspond to the length of the day during the summer. So the higher your latitude, the longer your days are going to be in the summer. If you're at 50 degrees north latitude or 50 degrees south latitude, you are going to have much longer days in the summer than you will have if you're at 25 degrees latitude in either hemisphere. Conversely, your winter days at those high latitudes will be a lot shorter. But it is the length of the summer day that determine how the onions bulb. So if you grow a long day onion down at a low latitude, those days are never going to get long enough for you to get onions that bulb. So they're just not going to work out for you in most cases. Here in North Carolina, I grow short day onions, but I can probably also grow intermediate day because I'm at 34 degrees north latitude. So as I mentioned before, these onions were started from seed roughly about 6 weeks ago. So when you buy onion seed, they're about the size of a poppy seed. So all you need to do is just put a couple in each cell, and within about a week they will come up as little tiny shoots of green grass. And I usually like overseeding my onion containers. You can put about 3 to 4 seeds in each, something will come up, and then once they start taking off, I save the strongest seed and I pluck out all of the other ones, and that left me with this little seed tray. As you can see, there's only 5 in here right now. One of them died, but sometimes that happens, but I should still have plenty of onions. So when you grow onions, it's very important that you give them enough room to grow and develop their bulb. That means that you can't space them too closely. So I recommend spacing your onion transplants roughly about every 6 inches or so. That way each onion bulb will get 3 inches on either side, and you'll allow the bulb to get to at least 6 inches in size, which is ideal. So all I'm going to do is scrape away any mulch that is on top here, and then I have my beds marked out every foot, 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, in each direction. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to dig out a little bit of the soil every 6 inches. Just punch a little hole in there, just like that. And then in each of those holes, I'm going to place a small handful of an organic all-purpose fertilizer. Now this says tomato and vegetable food with your NPK numbers of 3, 5, 6. That implies slightly lower nitrogen than the phosphorus and potassium component. Generally, you want to use a 555 or a 444, but don't stress about it. As long as each NPK number is represented and there's something there for each of them, you will be just fine. Onions are fairly heavy feeders, so it's important that you plant them with some food. So I'm going to place a little handful of fertilizer in each of those planting holes, just about a tablespoon or 2. Then I'm going to just mix that around a little bit. And then we are going to pop our onions out of the tray. They will lift out very easily. And here you can see what each onion will look like when you pull it out of its tray. You can see it has a very nice little root structure on it, but it is not root bound yet. So this is the ideal time to transplant. And then just drop them into each planting hole and pack them down. And now that all of our onions are planted, we are simply going to top dress them with the fertilizer, which just means to sprinkle a nice even layer on top of the plants. And then we will water them in deeply. So now we have all of our onions planted and watered in. Everything is looking great, and sometime in the late spring or early summer, we should have some nice size onion bulbs ready for harvest in my garden. So that right there is the difference between growing onions from sets, growing onions from seed, and why I generally think if you're willing to put in just a little bit of additional work, growing onions from seed is a little bit better and you have a higher chance of success. So everybody, I sure hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe for future updates and more videos like these. If you're curious about any of the products that I use in my garden, all of the products that I use are linked in my Amazon storefront in the video description. Thank you all again so much for watching, and we hope to see all of you again on the next video. Ready?
Happy birthday, Dale!
Here comes the cake.
Happy birthday, Dale! First got you day. weight staff.
Hey, this looks pretty good.
It
Was
does.
it peanut butter, apple, and baking powder?
Eggs. Yep.
Peanut butter, egg, apple, and
And then an icing made of
Baking
Greek
powder.
yogurt.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Blueberry,
whoa.
banana.
Oh, no.
And some other good stuff.
You just whole bited that. Oh, man.
Dale, hoof that.
You booger. Oh, this is a mess.
Clean that up, Dale. Good boy, Dale. Ooh, that's going right back on the shelf.